Now, a top-down approach is where a car maker decides to bring in its flagship models, establish the desired brand philosophy, the brand positioning, and then bring in its high-volume models. It's a very common strategy that is adopted across the car industry, but it's also like a double-edged sword for more reasons than one. Of course, it can teach car makers a lot about the market, give them a view of the acceptance levels. But what if their flagship models are aging? What if the cars end up becoming a little too expensive to own, to buy, and that makes customers form their own perceptions and shy away from the brand for good? Or even worse, what if their models fail to evoke the desires, the emotions that actually seal the deal? So you see, it is a tough path, but Volvo India in particular have trodden it quite carefully.
The new designs are inviting. The new cars drive like a charm. They are priced rather well, are the safest in the category, and are kitted to the brim. All these factors have made Volvo's top-down strategy robust enough to pave the way for the new baby. Say hello to the Volvo XC40. It is the third SUV in Volvo's lineup, but is built on a completely new platform called the Compact Modular Architecture, or CMA. It is built from high-strength steels for enhanced safety, is ready for electric propulsion, cleanly integrates new-age radar-based technologies, and is built for enhanced driving comfort. Compared to the XC90 and the XC60, the XC40 has a tall and upright stance. It is the tallest in its class, larger overall than the Q3 and the GLA, and only marginally shorter on length and width than the BMW X1. It wears Volvo's new signature Thor's Hammer daytime running lights, but the headlamps are squarish in profile to match the boxy proportions of this car. The grille on the range-topping R-design trim seen here gets a riveted design and gets a gloss black finish. Chrome would have made it a bit too similar to the diamond grille on the Merc. The face has a youthful yet butch look to it, and that should attract many. The side profile looks great too, from the sleek roof rails to the broad shoulder line, and the prominent surface sculpting on the doors to the handsome alloy wheels. These come in a largest-in-class optional 20-inch design or in an 18-inch size that is the default specification.
The XC40 also packs in an electronic tailgate which hides a massive 586 liters of boot space. I think it's quite usable. You also get this hidden compartment. I don't know for what, probably because it's targeted towards the younger audience, below which is a space saver wheel. A lot of usable space in here, good versatility overall.
The panel on the top of the hidden compartment is in fact wisely designed and adds plenty of versatility within the cargo space. The tailgate has a large opening and a low loading lip too. The tail lights are trademark Volvo design, but miss out on an all-LED treatment. The spoiler on the roof looks quite sporty, and the C-pillar, despite its slab design, adds a bit of sportiness to the rear end. The treatment goes very well with the dual-tone color schemes that the car adopts. Overall, the XC40 has a youthful appearance that will appeal to both the sexes and various age groups.
It's the Swedish answer to cars like the Audi Q3 and the BMW X1. And boy, does it look good. It doesn't look like a jacked-up hatchback or a scaled-down XC60. It has its own distinctive form. Bit like the Skoda Yeti, I think.
And that is thanks to the boxy proportions. That and best-in-class ground clearance and wheelbase measurements give the XC40 a roomy cabin and easy ingress and egress. The cabin is inviting and uses driftwood trim for the dashboard, Alcantara and leather upholstery for the seats, and bright wool carpeting for the door pads and the floor.
When you compare the XC40's cabin to the XC60 or the XC90, you will spot a few common elements: the vertically stacked infotainment screen, the digital instrumentation, the knurled finish for a few of the knobs. That's all common, but that's where the similarity ends. Compared to the slightly more serious cabins of the XC60 or the XC90, this one has a more youthful vibe. I mean, look at the red or the orange inserts here. They look so sporty. I know they're going to get soiled very often, but get them cleaned often. It's worth having them here. It just elevates the whole vibe of this cabin. Feels very youthful in here. Of course, the quality of plastics, it's not as premium as what you would get in the 60 or the 90, but it's not something that you would complain about either. You get soft touch plastics here, slightly scratchy plastics on the uncommon touch points. The infotainment, the system is very similar to what we've used already. The OS feels very similar. There's not much of a difference apart from the sound experience. That's because you don't get the concert hall kind of sound. This is a 13-speaker Harman Kardon system. It does give you a nice little preset where you can just optimize the audio for all the seats or just for the driver or purely for the rear seat occupants as well. It also gives you a nice surround sound feature, and it really works. The audio quality is amongst one of the best in the industry, not just in this class, but in the industry. I also get a key wireless charging pad here. I think it's quite generously sized because even my plus size phone with its additional robust cover still fits in very nicely, charges the phone very nicely. You also have a few storage spaces around here. You get really big storage spaces in the door. And I think in terms of practicality, it's just all good. And in terms of the overall premium feel, it doesn't feel like an entry-level compact luxury car. And I think that speaks volumes for the XC40.
The storage bins in the door pads can even hold a laptop. This additional space is achieved by moving the door speakers closer to the window and integrating the subwoofer into the dashboard. Select the rear seat optimization preset for the audio though, and the bass could become a bit too thumpy for the driver.
The gear selector on the XC40 needs a little getting used to. The park mode is accessed via a button, and the stick, push it once and gets into neutral, push it once more and then it will get into drive. Same for reverse, you'll have to push it twice to get into reverse, and the manual mode will let you cycle through the gears up and down by going sideways with the shifter. The more convenient way to do it is via the paddle shifters. The XC40 will begin operations in India with a diesel, the familiar 2-litre oiler, and it's available in the D4 state of tune, which means it puts out about 190 PS of power and 400 Newton meters of torque.
The 4-cylinder engine is quite refined and claims to propel this relatively heavy 1.7-ton crossover from standstill to 100 km an hour in a quick 7.9 seconds. The motor feels quite eager too and never feels out of breath.
The engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Now out on the highway or in the city, the gearbox works in quite a predictable manner. It responds quite well to your throttle inputs, be it part throttle, full throttle, it responds quite well. And in that sense, it is quite predictable. It also comes with the Haldex all-wheel drive system, which again is predominantly a front-wheel driven car. But when there is slip, it will also provide torque to the rear wheels to aid traction.
This powertrain makes for an engaging drive, and even around fast bends or quick switchbacks, there is no understeery feel. The grip from the tires is excellent too, and the braking is progressive and confidence-inspiring even at higher triple-digit speeds. The steering is precise and weighs well at speed, contributing further to the confident and engaging dynamics of the XC40.
Now we love that knob with the knurled finish on the tunnel console that lets you select various driving modes in the XC60 or the XC90. In the XC40, however, it's a little more Audi-like. You have a drive mode switch or a drive mode button on the center console that lets you cycle between the eco, comfort, dynamic and individual modes, come to a complete halt, and it will also let you select the rough road mode or the off-road mode.
The dynamic mode was our choice for most of the drive, since it livens up the responsiveness of the drivetrain. The comfort mode or the eco modes aren't too dull either and perfect for relaxed highway or city runs.
You do not get adaptive suspension on this car, so those driving modes are only going to alter the behavior of the engine or the gearbox, the drivetrain, not really the suspension component. So you can't even raise the car if you have to really go off the road. But then this is not really meant for off-roading. It is a crossover. Visits to your farmhouses, visits to your farmland should be possible. But doing jungle trails, this car isn't meant for that.
The XC40 employs hydraulic shock absorbers with coil springs to maintain its target costs. However, adaptive dampers could be introduced at a later stage.
Visibility is excellent, whether you're driving in the city, out on the highway, whether you're seated in the driver's seat or in any of the passenger seats, visibility is not going to be a problem at all. The windshield is nice and large, the glass house is nice and large, the A-pillar is slim, it's not very intrusive, so getting a clear view of the surroundings is not a problem at all. Getting a commanding view of the road, well, that's not happening in this car. It isn't like a typical SUV. The seating is more like a regular car, a sedan or hatchback, so it's more car-like to drive in that sense, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. of the big news is the XC40, despite being an entry-level car from Volvo, still gets the radar guidance systems, and I think that is something that is going to give it an upper hand over its competition.
These include pilot assist, adaptive cruise control, city safety with pedestrian, cyclist and large animal detection, oncoming lane mitigation, driver alerts and lane keeping aid. These are not only segment firsts, but also make the XC40 one of the safest cars in the segment.
Rear seat space, it's usually a concern when you're talking about entry-level luxury compacts, but with the XC40 it's clearly not a problem at all. The knee room is simply superb. The driver sitting in front of me is quite well built, and even with his driving seat preference, I have excellent space in here. Headroom is also quite good. Visibility, like I said when I was driving the car, it's very nice. Getting a view of the surroundings is not a problem at all. You do not get any claustrophobic feeling in here. It's nice and airy despite the darker colors used inside the cabin. In fact, comfort back here is quite good. We did subject this car to a few potholes, to some speed humps, to some rumbler strips like we are on one right now. You do get that slightly firm feeling from the ride quality, but it's not jarring at all. It's quite comfortable. Of course, back home in Mumbai, things may be a little different. We are driving around Hyderabad right now on the outer ring road. It's a smooth road. So far everything's quite good. Like I said, the space, the overall ride quality is nice. The comfort of the seats is quite good. I like the angle of the backrest. I like the overall contouring. Under thigh support could have been a little better, but overall I don't find this place to be uncomfortable at all.
A tallish 55 profile tyre ensures that the ride quality isn't affected, even though the XC40 wears one of the largest wheels in this category. Had the XC40 got slightly larger rear seats and better under-thigh support, it could also make for a very good choice within the segment for those who like to be driven around. That would also make it one of the best all-rounders in the category. Otherwise, it looks, feels and is premium despite being an entry-level offering. It has the flamboyance and the drive to attract the younger audience and newcomers to the Volvo brand. Moreover, the new CMA platform showcases its capabilities through the XC40 and promises that the next generation V40 and the upcoming S40 sedan will be compact luxury cars worth looking forward to. To that effect, Volvo India is in the process of setting up a stronger dealership network to cater to the increasing demand, while its initiatives like setting up a national parts warehouse that stocks up to 85% of its spare parts for ready and immediate availability further highlights its commitment towards its consumers in the Indian market. The Volvo XC40 seems like it will be one of the top grossers for the brand, and in that sense, it opens a completely new chapter for Volvo in India, and quite an interesting one at that.